Okay, as stated before, I'm going to use a AOI control board. Basically, that's what it is right here. It's all set up. So I'm going to, before I put the board together, I put in a photocopy and I copied the board. So if I take the board and I put the paper over, so I'm going to take the board, this paper I used. It's basically a template. Like I said, what I did was took an AOI board, a blank board, and stuck in the copy and copied it. Now I'm just going to mark the 4 spots that I need to drill, and the 5th spot will be right in the middle of the PIR. And those marks will transfer to the back of the paper. And I want the 4-pin connector at the top, which is there. And when I put this in here, I want to keep it down. And I'm going to keep it to the right. That way I got room here for my switch. So I'm going to put a switch in this. Okay, I taped the template down. You can do this one of 2 ways. You can just drill through the paper. I'm going to use a center punch. And I'm just going to mark them, and I can drill them. And like I said, keep this to this side, so I have a spot here to put my switch in. And you'll see what I mean now. Now I can just pull my template off, or if I'm going to drill through it, then I'll leave my template on. And I'll go through and pre-drill those holes. So after I put my template, marked my holes, and I drilled them. I drilled these 9/64ths. I drilled this on 1 inch for my Fresnel. That way my HPWA can just go right in and be ready to go. So there's 2 configurations you can do on the AOI board. One, what I do is if you look at the PIR, I have it spaced up 1/4 inch. The other way is to put these items here, your MOSFETs, your capacitors, to the other side of the board. That way you can use a 3/8 standoff. I'm going to use a 5/8 or a 1/2 inch standoff, and I'm going to mount them in. As you can see, I got my standoffs in. Okay, they're 1/2 inch standoffs because I have the PIR space 1/4 inch. I can put my screws on, mount my board. I can tighten everything down. As you can see, I'm centered in a hole from a PIR. Now with the AOI board, pin 3 and no, yeah, pin 3 and pin 6 is for a switch. So I'm going to put the switch in right here, and what I'll do is I'll mark this, and I'll grind that off, and I'm going to mark it and drill a hole for a switch right here. Okay, I drill a hole, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to goop this switch in. One thing about the T3000, it's not a real deep case, so I'm just going to goop this switch and put it in and let it dry. I won't be able to put a nut on the back side, but the goop's going to seal it in there. It's going to hold it. The biggest thing, try not to get any goop on the switch, because you definitely want to use some goop to seal it, so you got to get some on there. So it's a push button switch that I'm using. Use whatever switch you want to use. Put that in there, and I'm going to let it dry. Okay, I'm going to hook my switch on. So I need to tin my wires. I already tinned my wires from my switch. So I'm going to hook up my first wire, my switch, and solder it on. All I gotta do is heat it and it'll go on. That's my first wire. I'll put my second wire on. That's my second wire. Now I need to run those wires over to the switch. Now I need to run those wires over the switch. So I'm going to put this one, the inside one, to the bottom one. That's switch 2, or S2. I need this to go to the third one, which is S1. So I need to cut that. I like to tin my wires before I put them in the block, that way they don't fray and catch another position. Unless you want to do a short out against something else. And there's my switches wired in. I'm ready to, we'll put the pipe through in next. I'm going to do a pipe through on here, so I have a piece of plastic. You can use metal, which will rust, or you can use stainless, is probably preferred. Plastic. Now I want to drill that, mark that out so that it goes across. So I'll put that right there. Now I'm able to cheat a little bit because it's a clear case. I can stick that over there. And I can mark that hole right through the case. So I can mark my hole, put my tubing up there and mark my hole. Now all I gotta do, I use a step drill to drill that, so I'll drill it out.